cancer. She's like, that's enough. That's enough joking. Can you just flash the cancer? I had an actual cancer card. It says, I got the cancer bitches. I might not be around in a few months. Give me free shit. Now, I only made this because I knew I was going to be around in a few months, and that's why it was funny. And so I did use it, and it did help me. It helped my process. I got free drinks from a bar. But, people who didn't know my prognosis is like, that's dark and horrible. It is dark and horrible, but it's like, no, I'm gonna live. I'm gonna survive. And that's the irony of it. So anyway, my question is, like I said, has your own process in dealing with it with humor has ever come against with an audience or, consideration? Does that make any sense?
I don't, for me personally, not at all, because people think getting hit by cars is funny. It actually comes up in scenes, and I'm like, ooh. Or when I see TV shows, it actually kind of makes me mad, because I'm like, it's not like we're all just Will Ferrell, and we get to be like, oh, ow, it's like, it really fucking hurts. And you're really lucky if nothing worse happens to you. So I actually have had the opposite reaction, where I react stronger to things that probably didn't even, but I don't think I even noticed it before, but right after getting hit, I saw it everywhere. It's in so many TV shows, and almost always for comic effect. It's very rarely or to show how confused somebody is. So either it's hilarious, or the person is so confused, oh, I didn't know how cars worked. They keep going. And so when that happens in an improv scene that I'm watching, I actually have a really weird reaction to it. But I don't think so I think if I did it on stage, people would, it's getting hit by cars is hilarious. But.
Yeah. So.
Mine's too new. I don't know. We'll find out in 201. Comes up.
I don't think mine. If it's changed how I do improv, honestly, I don't know how.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd have to ask someone who's seen me before and after,
Sure.
if there's any change. Although I think I would be able to because scenes about unemployment don't seem to come up a lot in the improv I do. But if they ever do, I think, boom, I could be right there. I will be right there, either as having been someone who's gone through it and knows there are dark times with that where you think, did I make the right decision? Is this just going to screw up the rest of my life? And also the other side of the coin of just being the supportive friends and family that I had, where they did not look down on my decision to really, you did what? You left a job in this economy? Are you crazy? That's stupid. No, everyone was like, you know what? I heard you told your story, and we know you're a good person. You wouldn't do this lightly. I'd really have to get bad before you did it. So having that understanding, I think, will enable me to just, boom, get there right there in the moment.
Yep.
Just because all that stuff will come flooding back. I know.
Kind of going off what you said, Erin, and it ties in with the conversation yesterday of this culture, some facets, laughing at a tragedy that's certainly not funny, like making sexual assault a joke in a wrong way, is bringing humanity to your characters. If you're playing someone with a terminal illness or a victim of assault or just depression, have you dealt with a scene partner that has not done that? Or
I think that there's a way to handle darkness, and I think that it takes such a delicate touch and a lot of experience to handle it well. I've been in some scenes with people that just take it to the darkest place possible, where they're just throwing out things like, well, and your mother's dead, and your little brother drowned, and I'm like, how can you just say that? If this was a real life interaction, you would just be like, well, everybody's dead now, so it's just us. And that's something that I find really challenging. How do you, offer it enough humanity, but not take it to a place of total discomfort? the audience, but I have also seen really scenes that go to really dark places that are handled really nicely. Like Jill and Joe Bill had a set in TCIF where he was a character with autism, and they handled that extremely well. And it was fairly serious for most of it, but it made those moments of levity that much more rewarding because you're like, oh, release. It's like, and laughter is that great release of like, its tension is built up and then it has to come out somehow, and so it's so nice when it can be humor that kind of breaks that.
Yeah, and I really like what you said, Kate, when we had coffee. It's a beautiful comedy, and it's this wonderful package of comedy and tragedy dealt with integrity and dignity and believability. Like, if you're gonna tell me that your whole family died and just brush it off, no, we're gonna deal with that in the scene right now. Just like, the nun at the TCA agent, the TCA agent said, I'm gonna touch your vagina, and like, okay, how do you deal with that as a scene partner? You deal with it in a humane, realistic way. I think that's where the good comedy comes out.
I think it's one of the fascinating things about improv is that to really allow yourself to relinquish control of the scene and to really allow yourself to become a good, productive scene partner, you have to be in examination of who you are as a person the rest of the time. And are you Tosh or are you the Dalai Lama? What kind of a humor are you bringing to it? Is there a purity to it, or are you a cynic? And cynicism, sure, it'll get a yuck, but people will hold on to and embrace that real pure joy. There's a reason that billions of people around the world pay attention to the Dalai Lama's speaking, and a couple 100,000 for a couple of years will watch Tosh. I mean, there's a real value to, I think, the integrity in the comedy. And it can be dark. Life is sometimes. But if you deal with it honestly, that humor, I think, is richer and has more value.
Absolutely.
I think I can't move my arm all the way up, so that's going to be funny. In improv, sometimes I'll do that. And another thing that I don't know if this is probably unrelated, it shows that I have ADD, but I wrote a play with the person that assaulted me, and it might be getting produced in New York, which is great, and but it's eerily like my life. And it's really like, did I write this? This is weird, so that has nothing to do with what you asked, I think. But that, I just wanted to throw that out there because sometimes reality and fantasy mix.
Well, Sarah McLachlan, the song Possession, is actually a letter from a stalker.
Oh.
As she, turned into her own art. It's this whole taking back, with art, empowering yourself with art. We have about 6 more minutes. If anyone wants to say anything last, so I'd like to turn it to the audience if there is any questions or comments. Yeah.
I was wondering, and it's been going through my head the whole time, and I don't know if any of you can talk about the ability to laugh at yourself, not just at circumstances that might be out of your control, but learning how to laugh at your true self for being a knucklehead or for doing that, causing the circumstance maybe. And I'm wondering if anybody can address that, and if it's been hard for you or how you've learned to do that.
For me, I think I've always been able to do that pretty well, and I think it helped me knowing that, okay, I can leave this job and I'm going to joke about it, and that I'm cool with that. And I think that it really helped push me forward more to the decision of, okay, this is it, I'm doing it, here we go, what's going to happen, I don't know, let's find out. And that really just gives me some armor. I think that, I can rip open my shirt and there's the big U for unemployed there on my cape, on my outfit. So I think that helps, because people, especially, when the times are tough, people are, oh, you're out of a job, oh man, that sucks, Then you give people permission to laugh about it with you, and that really helped me.
For me, that was not a natural evolution. forget my very first improv class when it was required of us to bring our B game. And I've always been an overachiever, and I've always been really type A, and I was like, what the hell? I can aspire to mediocrity? And it was like this crazy aha moment that I think, for me, improv has taught me to be able to actually really accept and love and embrace the parts of me that are less than perfect, and not in a self-deprecating way. It just, there it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
I think going off of that and something that you said before about being like just left with the purity of like your thoughts and emotions and whatever's going on in that moment is something that improv, you know, you start to learn that like whatever's in your head is okay, and like if you think it, say it. I mean, well, most things. Like, blanket statement: if it's in your head, it should be out of your head. But like, I think it gives you that permission of like, you know, it might not be the best thing. Like you might just be like thinking about toucans, and so that's the only thing that comes out of your brain is like, there's a lot of birds around here. You know, it's like, and that's fine because somebody else also has something that they can respond to, and then it becomes this beautiful thing. And it is hard, like when you're kind of struggling with like I just felt like my darkness was just like wanting to let people know like this is not what I'm really like. I'm normally fun, and to like be able to let go of that in an improv class and be like, yeah, if I feel shitty, I can say like, you know, it's so cloudy all the time, or you know, like whatever crappy thing, and you have permission to just like, that's okay, and that's enough. You are enough. It's like probably the best lesson I learned. It was like, whatever you are today is enough.
Did I see a first hand over
Yeah,
here?
I just want to congratulate you guys for your bravery and just exposing yourself. And wow, it's such a life lesson for me, and I think we all know this, that everybody has this incredible story. So whether you're on stage, you don't know what can of worms you're opening up for someone else, because everybody is, you know, we view somebody, but we don't know this backstory. So it was just really touched me.
Thank you.
Well, just bouncing off of what Michelle said, you know, as a visual artist, performing artist, writer, we all draw from our life experiences because that's what we have. And I thank you for sharing your stories. They're just amazing. But it will make whatever you do richer because of what you've experienced.
I have a question for you guys, if we could talk a little bit about trust. A lot of this stuff of where it's so real, you have to laugh, you're opening your heart up, and it's such a genuine place, it's like hitting a nerve, and touching it just hurts, so you have to laugh. And that requires opening up with your partner, it requires letting you be touchable. Could you talk a little bit about your relationship after these things have happened with finding trust in your partners and being willing to expose yourself to what might be pain or laughter?
I think for me, like when you're in class, you can't choose your partners because you're all in class together. But if you are putting together a group, like I only play with people that I trust implicitly. You know, and you can't really control that if you're being cast in a show or if you're doing a student showcase. But like when you are choosing like, hey, you 4 people, let's make a group together. Like I only play with people that I trust implicitly because I know that even if like weird stuff comes up, they are going to protect themselves and me, and I'm going to protect myself and me, or and them. And then when we get backstage, if weird stuff happens, I know that I can trust them enough to be able to have a conversation with them or to apologize or whatever needs to happen. But I don't think I would be comfortable forming a group with somebody that I didn't already trust going into that.
I don't know yet. I think that I go on the side of trusting people because I feel like the scariest thing already happened. Like, what could be scarier? So I feel pretty open to it. I feel kind of like, bring it on. What do you got? I feel stronger.
Yeah, I've had seldomly seen partners with classes and people that I don't know and I haven't picked, you know, to be in the scene or, you know, the group with me, and they do something that touches a nerve, I kind of shove it back in their face. I call them on their shit somehow. Like I had a guy, and I'm infertile because of the chemo. So I think that's more painful for me than just saying, oh, the cancer. So he played a doctor and he told me I was barren. Like that was the word, and I just went, it really struck me. It kind of was a trigger for me. And so later on in the set, I turned it around. Like, I played the doctor to him, and I told him he was barren. And, I'm like, you're barren as a man. And, that helped me. So I just kind of shove the shit back in their face. I don't know if it's productive, but it just helps me. Anybody else?
Just echo a comment here. I hear so much gratitude from each one of you of, what you've been through. Are you aware that that's what comes out? I mean, do you really walk every day in that thought and that presence that you're just so grateful for your life and having improv and having this, this ability to process the things that go on? Because that's what I hear.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I love that. Love hearing that, because I definitely, I feel it, and I'm so glad you feel it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's really amazing.
Yeah, and I that's one thing that I took away from my whole experience being out of work for so long, is that I kind of pushed the envelope for myself of how bad does it get. I thought it got bad to about here. No, I found out it got bad to about here. It could probably go even further if I have some more crazy experiences in life like that. But it has made me think back on that time, and my job is just crazy hectic right now, and I know it's going to be for quite a while. But I keep going back. You've seen the complete opposite of it, and that was not fun either. Where you're just kind of sitting around in the dark, not trying to be a burden on anybody in society, because it takes money to live. And I can't take unemployment. How am I going to survive? Jeez. But just realize, okay, this may seem bad now, but this too shall pass. And it sure beats the alternative. So I feel very gracious in that regard.
Oh,
I
go
feel-
ahead.
I feel really grateful. If I'm really, really honest, I am not grateful that a very decent person had to deal with severe mental illness. That sucks. If I'm really, really honest, I'm not grateful that Tom Petters is a complete douchebag and cost me my job and my retirement savings. That sucks. What I am grateful for is the fact that I was forced into a position where I have this life now that feels so much better than anything I would have had the audacity to ask for. I didn't even know that was out there. And had I not been forced into a position where yes and was the only option, you can't. There are some things you just can't even seek. And so I think that was the takeaway for me. The lesson that I am very grateful for is the idea that you limit yourself when you think about what good is. You limit yourself when you define that. When you let that go, when you bring your B game or your C game or whatever the best you've got is and just roll with that, sometimes it's better than good. That I'm grateful for. I know we're running out of time.
Oh, sorry.
But
I'm just going to take Jane's question. You
Okay.
just speak, and then I'm going to take Jane's question.
I just heard this quote. I went to this choreographer was presenting something, and I was sitting there, and she said a quote that I think about all the time, and she was learning to deep sea dive, and one of the lessons that she was told, so you'll go down, and then you turn on your stuff, and it'll take a second. Don't panic because air will come. And I think about that all the time. This I'm so emotional. All this the air will come, and if you just can calm yourself, air will come.
No, don't be sorry.
I want to just say one thing. I
Yeah.
always think that it's never the end, it's just new beginnings. That's my whole thing now from this. It's it's never, it could be the end of something, but it's could be the beginning of something so much better,
Absolutely. I woke up after the diagnosis. I'm like, wow, I might not be here a year from now.
Yeah.
What do I want to do?
Live it up.
I went back to school. It's just like it does. It just opens shit up for you.
I was just going to ask if any of you all had an experience in the audience of something where you got to see something represented, or you got to see something that sort of was like, oh, I identified. Thank God that was made.
Oh Lord, I cry at Dove commercials now. So I think when I see other people crying, I was like, oh God, I have to too. So I think I over-identify.
Not particularly on stage. The C word on Showtime.
Oh yeah, Laura Linney.
Laura Linney going through cancer. really identified with that, but, nothing I can think of.
I can't think of any.
I watched 50-50 like right after I
Oh.
got my diagnosis. No, I didn't cry. I actually thought it was dumb. I was like, unless I fall in love with my therapist, and it's my questionable therapist in this story, I'm like, I don't really, this is a chick flick. It just has cancer in it. And I have cancer, and yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't feel like a love story is gonna come out of this, so it just made me mad.
Just one last thing, like James, I feel like a lot of improvisers, and especially in Minnesota, are afraid to go there, are afraid to go to terminals, to cancer. You know, it used to be such a bad word, and I think it still is. And I would love to see more scenes in a chemo ward, more scenes in a hospital after an assault, you know, to deal with it in a very humane, beautiful way. So, thank you so much, everybody.